And the world of books, that it is more enriching. You can improve your knowledge. You can somehow settle your ideologies. You can form your own opinions with the help of books. It is a treasure of knowledge. Okay, all the things in fact actually are there. Whatever you see in the electronic media, in a more enriching manner, it is there in the books. And so somehow actually getting addicted to books, that is quite positive. That's quite positive. It will make you a better citizen. It will make you a better human being. Okay, and of course, this on the time of the need of the hour is to make ourselves universal citizens. Okay, the narrow walls of our minds, should be demolished. Okay, we are human beings, kind-hearted human beings. You should be kind to other human beings. You should be kind to the environment. You should be kind to actually all the organisms around you, including plants and animals. That sort of a feeling or a kindness can well be built up in ourselves with the help of these books. We have to select actually the books accordingly. Okay, the purpose of our education, the purpose of you coming to school, the purpose of living in the society is to make ourselves better human beings, kind-hearted, better human beings, without much selfishness, without much narrow feelings, but widen ourselves. Only through books, this can. Of course, a person who is a voracious reader, a person who reads, definitely will be a better human being also. Such narrow-mindedness, okay, such narrow walls, can never be identified in you. So I want actually all of you to read. Take a pledge today that you will read at least, okay, a set of books in a particular year according to your age. And of course, at the end, you can settle your own ideology, your own ethics, okay, your own philosophy. And that will make you a better human being. And I congratulate Sarita, madam, for this wonderful event. And thank you for inviting me and for interacting you also. And all the best for your National Library Week. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am, so much. That was indeed motivating and extremely informative. Now let us see a short video presentation on programs held by our school. As you all know, today is Children's Day, the birthday of Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. So let's start the program of 7 authors in 7 days. I welcome Sri Rajesh KV, sir, to share his views.
Most respected, esteemed Bina ma'am, Sarida madam, and the very energetic and vibrant members of this Readers Club. 72 members in a meeting, that also a Sunday, really bewilders me. I'm totally touched and surprised to see the number and the mode of participation by all of you. Today, we begin the National Library Week. Today, it is the 132nd birth anniversary of Jawaharlal Nehru, and the Readers Club of the school has already planned a program, 7 authors in 7 days. And first, today we are going to speak about Jawaharlal Nehru as an author. 13 years ago, while I was in Assam, I got a travelogue written by a Malayali journalist who was working for a Bengali daily. He was able to write both in Bengali and Malayalam. His name was P.K. Vikraman Nair. He went to Africa and he wrote a beautiful travelogue in Bengali, later translated into Malayalam. The name of the book was Paschim Digande Pradosh Kale. While I was reading that, one incident attracted me very much. When Vikraman Nair went to an interior village of Nigeria, an African country, he heard about a learned, wise, revolutionary living there. His name was Thai Solarin. He was the brain of all the revolutions and changes happening there in African countries. He was well appreciated and respected by the people, especially the intellectuals of all the African countries. While Vikraman Nair entered his hut-like dwelling, he saw a photograph on the wall, or rather a wall-like thing. When he looked at it with great surprise, he came to know that it was the photograph of Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. An interior village, a forest-like place, a person living, not an Indian. His room, the photograph hanging on the wall was of Nehru. It made Vikraman Nair, it made the reader, me also. We all became totally we were not able, we were in a condition, we were speechless. While reading that, I thought, as an Indian, I didn't know much about Nehru. But an African, he is a follower of Nehru. I felt ashamed of my existence, and that day I started reading Nehru. After that, even yesterday, I read about Nehru. The more I read, the more I love and admire him. Vikraman Nair asked a question to Thai Solarin. Why Nehru? Why didn't you put the photograph of Gandhi? Thai Solarin's answer was, many of the ideas of Gandhi were put it into practice because of the visionary skills and great organizational capacity of Nehru. Moreover, it was Nehru who made India to have a face-to-face with modernity. And Nehru placed India at the threshold of modernity. And it was he who played a pivotal role in converting India to go to the modern world with all the spirits of modernity. Moreover, his books, even today, different bookshops in different parts of the world, I repeat, world, even today they are for sale. No prime minister of any country, no president of any country has got this greatest privilege. Nehru died in 1964. 50 or more, 6 decades are over. Still his books are read and still his books are debated, and we can doubtlessly say that Nehru, he was a freedom fighter, he was an organizer, he was the president of Indian National Congress, he was the first Prime Minister of India, and above all, he was one of the greatest writers India has ever produced. So we can begin this beautiful morning thinking of, wondering of that legendary genius. And the books Nehru wrote, The Discovery of India, The Glimpses of World History, an autobiography, and these letters to his daughter. Apart from this, Nehru wrote lakhs and lakhs of letters and tens of thousands of speeches. All those things are wonderful monuments, even in the field of literature. That literary world created by Nehru attracted me a lot. But more than that, his life attracted me. His life is more wonderful than any book written in this world. I'm telling all these things with 100% surety and 100% that true it is. I will tell you one by one. Nehru was born as the son of the richest man lived in India. I hope you know the name of that richest father. His name was, yes, Motilal Nehru. If you come to know about the wealth of that man, you will be totally in great wonder. In Allahabad, where English people were only allowed to stay a particular area, where English people only were allowed to stay. Because of his wealth and knowledge, Motilal Nehru was able to get a space to construct his house. It was one of the very few houses in India where electricity was there, where pipe water was there, and servants were there in large number. That family was living in 100% English way. And Motilal Nehru wanted Jawaharlal to come up as a cultured and civilized English nobleman. So at a very young age, Nehru got a tutor in the house. And moreover, all the costly toys appeared anywhere in the world market. That toy was there in Motilal Nehru's house. Only a few people in the world were enjoying bicycle and tricycle. All these things were plenty in Motilal Nehru's house. Nehru led a life of a prince. Even the real princes of India in different country states were living. Even those people were jealous of the wealthy atmosphere there in the house of Motilal Nehru. Nehru lived and Nehru was brought up in the midst of this wealth and luxuries. And the people coming to the house, all the greatest personalities there in the world. That Nehru was sent to England, Harrow School, to have education. Motilal Nehru was very much particular to provide all the luxuries available there in England for his son. And Nehru enjoyed all those things also. Even today, many of us cannot even imagine the facilities which Jawaharlal got as a student there in Harrow. And later he continued his studies in Cambridge, and later Trinity College, Cambridge, and later he got his Bharat Law degree from this Inner Temple, one of the famous institutions there in the world. After completing all these things, while completing and doing all these things, Nehru was very much busy with reading and making connections with different people, great intellectuals all over the world. And this Nehru came back to India. His father asked him to enroll as an advocate in Allahabad High Court. Children, the first case Nehru appeared, the amount which he received for the case was more than the amount of all the advocates in India were getting. That much handsome amount was given to him. And Motilal Nehru was very much particular about the future of this his son, and he deposited 10,000 rupees in the war fund of the British government, and it would give with great dividends to that man. He could lead a very comfortable life. 10,000, after hearing that, don't think that it is the present value. No. With the 10,000 rupees means that time a person could buy the entire Kottayam district. That much great amount was there. And as the only son, he was the heir of all the properties and wealth of Motilal Nehru. But the reader in Nehru, I repeat, the reader in Nehru, and this reader converted into a thinker. His reading made him a thinker. He didn't go after these pleasures and fortunes and wealths. He opened his ears to hear the call of the nation. He decided that money and all these pleasures were nothing. He heard the call of the nation, and he heard and he experienced the magic works done in India by Mahatma Gandhi. And he understood that his 30 crore human beings, his fellow human beings, were in poverty and slavery. Nehru forgot everything and jumped into the fire of India's struggle for independence. Children, Nehru, while he was a student, he would put on one dress maximum 2 times. That Nehru had to travel all over India as part of freedom struggle. The same dress, that also very rough and tough khadi item. And he really, I would like to tell you that he became a sannyasi. He went to the heart of India, went among the people without food, children, without proper without luxury dress, without luxurious lifestyle, and all those things he began to live among the Indians. At the same time, while all these things were going on, Nehru didn't leave one thing. Till the end of his life, 1964, May 27th, Nehru read every day. Nehru was an voracious reader. That reader only made Nehru like this. 1964, May 26th, midnight, Nehru was reading the poems of Robert Frost, the famous American poet, and 4 lines touched his heart. Woods are lovely, dark and deep, but I have promises to keep, and miles to go before I sleep, and miles to go before I sleep. After reading that, Nehru wrote these 4 lines in his diary, and next morning, Nehru died. From school days to till the day of his death, Nehru was a reader. And what Bina Madam told, all these limitations and all these things will be broken into pieces. These narrow domestic walls of human minds can be broken only through reading. What Bina Madam told in her inaugural address, that is 100% true in the case of Jawaharlal Nehru. And children, he became the leader of Indian national movement, second to Mahatma Gandhi. And one incident really touched my heart while I was reading Nehru. 1927, USSR was celebrating the 10th anniversary of the revolution. 10th anniversary of Russian Revolution. It was there in 1917 October. And 1927 October, while they were celebrating the 10th anniversary of this program, this revolution, there was only one man invited from India. That was Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. That time he was only 37 years old. Within 37 years of life, a man rose to an international level. What Bina Madam told in her inaugural address, a universal human being. Nehru is the example for that. Nehru is the best example for that. And he went to Russia and he took part in the celebrations. While taking part in the celebrations, Nehru was not enjoying the facilities given to a foreign delegate. Nehru was studying there also how Russia was able to develop. How can I bring that? That time, 1927, there was no sign of India's independence. Still, the reader Nehru's mind was investigating there in Russia. How did they develop the same method I want to bring to my country? That much optimist Nehru was. And in 1937, when all the great intellectuals there in the world, they told that we have to have a union, an organization to fight against colonialism and such kind of oppression. They made an international organization, and Nehru was the leader of it in 1937. Though he was an Indian, his genius rose, the genius developed to international level, and he became the leader. Children, if I tell you who were the names of other members in the organization, if I tell you, you will be really what you call dumbstruck. That is, Albert Einstein was one of the members. Bertrand Russell was another member. George Bernard Shaw was another member. All the greatest intellectuals and think tanks in the world, they unanimously elected this young man of India as their leader. Means, please imagine how much the world considered the greatness of this legendary genius whom India has created. And 1947, August 15th, when India became independent, there was no question who was going to lead India. Gandhi told, my voice you can hear through Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. Nehru became the Prime Minister. And Nehru became the Prime Minister of India for 17 years. Children, don't think that it came to him by luck or some other thing. You will be wondered if I say 3,259 days Nehru spent in jails. Part of India's struggle for independence. I repeat, 3,259 days in British jail. Part of this his agitations against the British. 3,259 days means it is nearly 10 long years. What was he doing there in the jail? He was, yes, he was writing books. Nehru was not getting any kind of reference there in the jail. Nehru was provided only pen and paper. By using this pen and paper, Nehru was having a very great resource and reference. That was his intellect, his great capacity to recall, keep things there in the mind. In that jail, children, Nehru wrote a bulky book, The Glimpses of World History, without referring even a single newspaper. Try to understand how great reader was Nehru. It is not the history of Allahabad. It was not the history of UP. It was not the history of India, but it was the history of the entire world without referring a single page of a book. The greatest wonder in the history of publishing a book. The second book, autobiography, it is not the autobiography of Nehru at all. It is a real document of Indian life and Indian culture. In that autobiography, Nehru was only an onlooker or a witness of things happening in different parts of the country. And third, the discovery of India. Children, you can speak about America, speak about Russia, speak about Germany, speak about France, speak about Japan and all. But you cannot speak about India in that way. Because 130 crore human beings today, Thousands and thousands of languages, religions, caste, communities, customs, cuisines, and everything. Everywhere you can see this diversity. Japan, one language, one culture, one religion, over. Britain, like that. Germany, like that. And very small, this is what you call the population. But this vast country of that time, 35 crore human beings, with 35 crore gods and 35 crore customs and all those things. To lead this country is not an easy task. And moreover, almost all the Indians in that time, 99.9% Indians, they were living in religion. Nehru was 100% against all these things. Atheist. That Nehru, he was able to lead this 35 crore Indians for 17 years. And moreover, he was able to prepare these 35 crore Indian people to the broad world of freedom. This he was able to do only because he was able to discover India. That book is The Discovery of India. Even today, in one of the coveted universities there in the world, when papers are being presented, you can see quotations from this Discovery of India. And these glimpses of world history and autobiography and all those things. That much deep was the knowledge of Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru in his field. Moreover, recently before my transfer, I was reading a book by Nehru, letters he wrote to the chief ministers of India. A wonderful document. You can see the vision of a great leader. What did he want his India to become? A living document was there. It was that book, Nehru's speeches. I was able to read maximum 200 speeches of Nehru. Actually, children, they were not speeches. They were poems. Beautifully written, beautifully communicated, and fantastically expressed these speeches. In short, Nehru was a statesman. Nehru was a freedom fighter. Nehru was everything. But above all, I would like to describe Nehru as a romantic. He loved children. He loved flowers. He loved animals. I will tell you one example. One day he got 2 tiger cubs. The Prime Minister of India busy sleeping just 2 hours a day. This Nehru found time to look after those tiger cubs also. And his daughter and his family members all protested. Papa, within days, we all will be inside the stomach of these tigers. Nehru didn't leave. Last, so many people told Nehru. Then with a very heavy heart, Nehru transported them to a zoo. Lover of nature, lover of flowers, lover of children, and enjoyed all the beauties of life. A vibrant personality. He didn't know what rest was. Above all, the crown of Nehru's character was, he was a crown in the character, the versatile side of Nehru's life. The crown, doubtlessly, I can say that he was a writer. He was a reader. Children, when India became independent, first thing Nehru did was, who were the Indians working abroad in different scientific organizations? Nehru was able to bring back all of them, including our Janaki Ammal. And by the knowledge he got from reading, he implemented all those knowledge in India. That means he was able to start different scientific research organizations in India. And that scientific temper which we proudly say, the contribution of India. And today we are very much proud of IITs and IIMs and all those things. All these things are the contributions of the great mind of Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. Scientists like Vikram Sarabhai, scientists like Mahalnekar, scientists like Janaki Ammal, and all the eminent architects lived there in the world, writers in the world, all were coming to Delhi. And Nehru converted the capital of a poor country, Delhi, into a great business, a great place where all these great personalities meet together. And children, before concluding, I would like to tell you only one more thing. These are today, as Bina Madam told your pledge, please read to salute Nehru. Please read his book, the letters he wrote to his daughter. You will be mesmerized to know how Nehru was able to convey his ideas to his daughter. And one more thing I would like to tell you. There was a meeting with Vikram Sarabhai. He told Vikram Sarabhai, Vikram, many Indians are not able to go to school. How can I educate them? There, India started this revolution in television. Nehru and Vikram Sarabhai, that conversation is a worthful document even today. Nehru told Sarabhai, that is through TV, this TV I am going to make a rural university. Nehru's vision about TV was not Flowers TV and Kappa TV and all those things. Nehru's vision was TV was a university. I don't know where did we reach. And last, just 5 more minutes I will take. That is last, his speeches, beautiful poetry, written with elegant words and rhythm and all those things. India became independent. That midnight, Nehru had it to address the nation. And that speech is known as a tryst with destiny. Children, you will be wondered to know. To get that word tryst, Nehru spent half an hour because 7 other words he found. But he understood all those words cannot substitute the word tryst. To get this word tryst, Nehru worked a lot. This is Nehru. And that sound came. It was not to India. It was to the world. The beginning of the speech was like this. Listen very carefully. Long years ago, we made a tryst with the destiny, and now the time comes. We shall redeem our pledge, not wholly or in full measure, but very substantially. At the stroke of the midnight hour, when the world sleeps, India will awake to life and freedom. A moment comes, which comes but rarely in history, when we step out from the old to new, when age ends and when the soul of a nation long suppressed finds utterance. Children, as a reader, I didn't get many opportunities to read a language more beautiful than this. On this 14th November, I salute Jawaharlal Nehru, the icon and hero of India and the world. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rajesh sir, for your enlightening words, and thank you all for your time and patience. We are extremely privileged to have you all here today. Coming to the end of the program, we wish you very happiness, prosperity, and peace.
Can I add something?
Yes, madam.
Okay.
Yes,
I
madam.
appreciate Rajesh sir for your mesmerizing speech on the mesmerizing visionary. In fact, actually, this was a treat for all of us. In fact, actually, the day is made. Okay, so children, you understand why Rajesh sir, is able to speak about an author like this. It is because he himself is an voracious reader. When he joined on the first day, he told me that, Madam, I need 1 week to shift because my house, has got, all the 3 rooms, are full of books. I have to transport it to a safe place. Okay, and we understood that actually sir was a voracious reader, and such an enlightening, okay, an enriching speech on Jawaharlal Nehru. Many ideas actually we didn't know, sir, and in fact, actually we feel lucky that I was born in a country where a visionary like Jawaharlal Nehru ruled. And we are, in fact, actually the beneficiaries of his vision even today. Thank you very much, sir. That's why I interfered and talked, and that was a wonderful speech. And we hope actually many more ideas and many more speeches, we'll be able to enjoy like this. In fact, the day is made, sir, like this. Thank you so much. Thank you, Sarida, also for making this particular event, this wonderful. I'm not.
We had
This is from my heart.
we had planned 7 days, 7 readers, 7 authors, madam, together with Rajesh sir. He only suggested me this idea. So we have planned this week. Each day we will introduce one author. So next, on behalf of our Readers Club, I extend a really hearty vote of thanks to Rajesh sir and Beena Rose madam who spared time from their busiest schedule. I know that you are very, very busy, especially Beena madam, to grace this occasion. Today, we had an opportunity to hear your thoughts, and this will surely be going to encourage us in our future events. At last, I thank all my loving students who made this event a grand success. Thank you, everybody. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Goodbye.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank
Thank
you,
you,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Bye.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Welcome, welcome,
Thank you, ma'am.
welcome.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Happy Children's Day, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Happy Children's Day.
Thank you, all my dear.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Happy Children's Day to all my dear friends.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Happy Children's Day to all my friends.
Thank you. Yeah.